It's quite rare, especially when you have a dominant champion that kind of solidifies himself. It's quite rare that you see them and you go, okay, that's the best guy fighting the next best guy. Because once you start going through titles and you start to kind of defend and defend and defend, you know you have that. But in this case, you are having the two best heavyweight in the world stepping in there. And Tom Aspinall is something special. I have to be honest here and admit that early on, I kind of doubted it because you see him getting these 2-minute, 1-minute finishes, and you're like, okay, well, is that the best guy there? Is that the best wrestler? Is that the hardest hitter? Is that the fastest guy? To where it was like the next fight, and then the next fight, and then the next fight, and I'm like, okay, wait, let's take a look here, and let me be honest as a wrestler. When you think of UK wrestling, because it's not like America where it's in an amateur system to where we know these guys have that pedigree before they get to the professional rank. But someone like Tom Aspinall, to be that size, to be that quick, and to be able to mix it up the way that he does, it is something special. And I said it before his last fight. I said we have to stop doubting this guy. This guy is the problem.
The way that he's been going through people, as Kamaru's just highlighted, that has been incredibly impressive. But the narrative over the last 12 months now creates a little bit more pressure. Obviously, we can speak about the possibility of a Jon Jones fight. That didn't materialise, and now we find ourselves fighting Ciryl Gane on Saturday night. You'll know yourself, Kamaru, there's a lot of pressure that comes with being the champion.
Correct.
Isn't there? How does that differ from a normal day-to-day fight, if I can call it that, inside the UFC?
Well, I think that whole notion of pressure, that's going to be determined by Tom Aspinall. Because if he just goes out and does what he normally does, this shouldn't be pressure for him.
Yeah.
Because of what he's had to deal with and how he's been able to dispose of his opponents in that octagon. Now that you are labeled the undisputed champion, and this, I guess, would officially be his first title defense.
Yes.
How does he deal with that? Because we all know the story of when he became champion, giving the belt to his father, because this is something they dreamed of for a long, long time. Now, being crowned the baddest man on the planet, how do you handle defending? Especially against, this is a guy that he hasn't faced someone like this, a guy that's this dynamic. So how does he deal with all of that? That's what we're looking to have answered on Saturday.
You see, this man's making a wonderful transition into the world of media. See what he's done there? He's managed to bring me to the point of segue, so now we can talk about Ciryl Gane. That was awesome, mate. Well done. Let's talk about Ciryl then, shall we? Because we've talked about pressure for Tom. Big pressure on Ciryl. This is his third opportunity now to try and become undisputed. Yes, he's fallen short in the first two. Might not get a fourth if he's unsuccessful on Saturday night.
Nobody gets 4 UFC title fights if you don't win any. That just doesn't happen. So his entire career, effectively, at the top end of this sport is on the line here on Saturday night. That's just a fact. I think Ciryl knows that, which is why he's explained this week. He said, listen, I've left my children, left my missus, I've gone away. I've spent 3 months focusing on this camp. He's been out in the Middle East for an awful long time. He's almost hinting to the fact he might even move out to the Middle East. He enjoys it so much. So he's leaving no stone unturned. But Kamaru touched on it then. What has caught the attention of fans in North America with Tom is, whoa, this guy's got grappling chops. We ain't seen that from a Brit before. Bisping's success, if you remember, he had to leave the UK, base himself in the US to get that kind of work done. Tom's from a generation now where there is wrestling support there. The grappling is being taught in the UK from a very young age. So he brings that to the table. But that's the elephant in the room with Ciryl Gane. What has he done over the last 12 months of inactivity inside the cage? What has he done over the last 3 months of a focused camp? And can it cater for what Tom Aspinall potentially brings from the grappling area? Because Jon made it look pretty easy to take him down and finish him.
Yeah. From a Ciryl point of view, speaking to him this week, he's always dead relaxed. So he's like you, very hard man to read during a fight week. Cool, calm, collective. As Nick's just touched upon there, those first 2 disappointments, one against Francis, one against Jon. Talk to me from a fighter's mentality of how that then maybe changes the mentality and levels the game up, so therefore when you do get that next opportunity, which is coming on Saturday night, you don't make those same mistakes again.
Yeah, there's going to be that element of pressure, because when you faced the other 2 best guys in the division before, you've fallen a bit short. But the one thing that he does have going for him is he was the interim champion.
Correct.
He has had a little taste of what that is to have gold wrapped around you. Which is why, as a fighter, we start to kind of branch out a little bit. This shouldn't be the last stop. You know, you start to kind of branch out, and that's the only kind of concern here is we know Ciryl Gane has kind of branched out. He's done some fashion work.
Yeah.
He's done some movie work. It's how does that affect your mind? To some people, it could be a benefit, but to others, you have to be immersed fully in this. And so how does that affect him going into a fight against probably the most dangerous guy? We've seen you against big power before. We've seen you against really, really good grappling, Jon Jones. Now, how do you deal with a guy that can mix it all very, very well at an incredible pace and incredible speed? And you know, that's my. I'm kind of hung up here because I want to lean one way, but at the same time, I have to be respectful of Ciryl Gane's skills.
How do you compartmentalize that? Because you've experienced that. You've done the movies and balanced the fight career at the same time. How hard is that to do?
It's difficult now at this point. I know I still got some tread left. I know there's.
We know that. We're going to get to that in the show, mate. Don't you worry about that.
I understand how difficult it is because when you're at a certain point, when you're just making your way up, you live and breathe this.
Yeah.
To where it's once I'm done with training and I'm on the drive home, I'm thinking about what happened in training. And I'm sitting at home, I'm having a meal, I'm thinking about what happened in training. Okay, how can I better this? I have a fight coming up. Okay, what is this guy? You're constantly living in that space. But now when you start to kind of pull back a little bit where I'm thinking about, okay, what kind of faces did I make for this shot in this movie? Okay, I have to immerse myself in that. You're kind of taking yourself away from that. And it could be help. It could be help for you, but it could also be a detriment because when you're not that focused against a guy like Tom Aspinall, who's ultra dangerous, that could be problematic. You know, what's that famous quote that you become, 30% better once you become the champion? I think that's because of the confidence that it gives you. Because once you are crowned the king, it reaffirms that delusion.
Validation.
That validation.
Yeah.
That delusion that you've had for years and years and years that I can be champion. I am the best. I can be the best. It's now you're stamped the best. So it's like, oh, now I can really open up and let go because I am the best. But with someone like Tom, yes, you've gotten that. And obviously maybe not in the most ways that you would have liked, but you are crowned the king now. So this is an official title defense. Now they start to get scary because it's, I want to stay there.
Yeah.
Now I've got that delusion out of the way. I know I'm the best. Am I still the best? Okay, this guy, everyone's saying this guy's the next best. So now it's that fear of, you don't want to be defending because I never wanted to think like I'm defending. I always wanted to feel like the challenger each and every fight. So you never really want to have that in your mind that I'm defending what's mine because in that case, you're kind of closed off. You're just trying to stop people from attacking you.
Oh, okay, yeah,
as opposed to you going out there and attacking.
So you were always hunting.
I was always, I tried to. I tried to.
No, but from a mentality point of view, like you kind of in your head go, right, the title but now becomes vacant.
Right.
We're both going after it again. Who wants it more time?
Right.
Is where your head was at.
Yeah, I would say for the first three title defenses, that's where I was at. But like Brad said earlier, he said, you know, when you start to kind of age a little bit, and then it's like, the back hurts a little extra today. It's like, okay, all right, let's see, we're gonna get through this. We're gonna get through this, and you know that becomes the story. Is now I'm defending. Okay, I got to defend this guy. I know I'm the best, but I've got to defend this guy. But with someone like Tom, that's one thing that's incredible about him is his vision. He comes out there and he steps on the gas right away.
Yeah.
He has to continue to do that to really solidify himself as that. You know, a lot of consensus is Jon Jones doesn't want to fight a guy like this because he's so dangerous. You have to go out there and prove that. Because if Ciryl Gane gets this done, then we know Jon Jones is at home going, look.
Told you.
Yeah. When you took a fight extremely late notice,
at
middleweight, against Khamzat Chimaev, the current champion, who's just completely and utterly dominated Dricus for 5 rounds to become the champion, you win round 2 and 3 on my book.
Yeah.
You dominate him for the second 10 minutes of that fight. why did you not think, you know what, I'm going to stick around at middleweight because there's a narrative. I want to see you versus Khamzat. I want to see that run back because I want to see, because if there's 5 rounds in that fight on that night, Khamzat Chimaev doesn't get to the title. This guy does. So why move back down to welter?
Well, first of all, I want to say, I mean, shout out to the champion. I think Khamzat's done a phenomenal job with the push and the pressure that he's been under, has been able to get to the top and achieve being a champion, which some do falter and fail before they get there. So shout out to him. But for me, it's a crazy thing because after the loss to Leon, the second one, it's you're put in a place where it's kind of uncertainty, because in that second matchup, you're defending your title and you pretty much have got it wrapped up and something happens.
Yeah.
So it's going back and try to, your confidence gets knocked away a little bit, but it's like, no, I am good. And you try to reaffirm that. But unfortunately, you go to London and you try to get that belt back and you fall just a bit short to where it's like, oh, am I really slipping here? So you have that. And so I had a conversation. There's that viral clip of the UFC saying, oh, they want you to fight Shavkat. But the reason that was even a thing was because I was there asking for Khamzat.
Yeah.
I said, you know what? Let me fight this guy because I think that's the most dangerous fight right now that we have. And they're like, well, he's up a division. I'm like, that's okay. I'll go there. And they're like, it doesn't really make sense at this point. And I understand it from a company's perspective. I understand that. And so I had to go home and say, okay, well, I have nothing kind of scheduled right now. I've been through so many guys in this top. Let's let these guys fight each other and see what comes out of it. And lo and behold, the company knows that I'm the type of guy who stays somewhat ready. And they're like, I get the call and they're like, hey, you feel like doing something crazy? And I'm like, all right, give me a couple hours. And I call them back and I come out here and try to do that. But I would say the one takeaway from that fight is letting me know that don't be so hard on yourself.
Yeah.
Don't be so hard on yourself. Even though you drop 1 and maybe 2, you still have to step back in there with that ultra confidence that you had as the champion. And so, I mean, if the opportunity presented itself, I would love to compete against him as well, because I think he's grown from that fight.
Of course. Yes.
Definitely he's grown from that fight, and I think I have as well. Because when I became champion, there was a guy that haunted the division a little bit, and I wanted to test myself against that guy, which was George.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that opportunity because you want that rub, you want that stamp, and which is what our heavyweight champion wanted. You want that name, that Jon Jones on your resume, to kind of solidify yourself as the next guy up to carry on this torch. And so I think that's something that I've got going for me with either guy, whether it's Islam or whether
you've
it's
become
Jack.
that guy now, yeah, exactly.
Become that guy, but I'm not looking to pass the torch yet.
Opinion then, because we've got obviously Jack Della Maddalena, who's the champion now, and he's going to be defending that against Islam Makhachev. That's coming up next month.
Who's coming up himself from 15 pounds.
Right.
How do you see that one playing out?
I think Islam was always a big guy for that lightweight. But when you keep your body down, you keep it, shrinking it down, you can fit in the weight class. But there's something extra when you let it just grow naturally into that weight. So I think Islam will be fine there, but it's being able to control that time and time again.
Yeah.
And Jack is not a small guy.
No.
He's not. And he fights like that as well. He hits you with welterweight shots.
Yeah.
Which I think over the course of a 5-round fight, you are going to feel. So I think it's a very intriguing fight because, with Islam being the former pound for pound moving up, a lot of people he's a shoo-in. He's going to get it done. But it's not as easy of a fight as people think. I think Jack is immensely improved.
Yeah.
You saw that he had that long layoff and then comes back.
Yeah.
And looked that good.
Yeah.
And that goes to attest to just the work that you do when you have your time off.
Yeah.
Like with myself, I had quite a bit of time off, and then coming back with Buckley and just kind of rolling back the clock a little bit. I think that's a toss-up. It could be a pick'em fight for that one.